Many people just aren't hard workers. They're not a hard worker at heart, and it doesn't really matter the circumstances. You can change the circumstances, it doesn't change the behavior of certain people.
People who don't want to maximize their potential, I don't think I've ever really understood why. Because if they knew what came with that, like on the other end of your potential is all of your dreams.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was number 978. Which of these mindsets do you have? Today, for episode number 979, happy Sunday, how to find the biggest belief holding you back. I don't know if my voice is deeper today, Alan, or if it's maybe I'm closer to the mic. I don't know. I sound like a full man today, a grown A man. So Alan and I oftentimes behind the scenes, either Alan will say this or I will say this. I did not think that at all. I don't understand why this is the way it is. I don't get why this behavior is happening. I don't know if I'll ever understand this. And we were thinking, okay, what does that actually mean? When we say that, what does that actually mean? We have a blind spot around either why something is done, why people do things a certain way, and we're trying to figure out, okay, why do we have those blind spots? And what we came up with was the things that you're really, really, really good at. Maybe the things that are in your genius zone. If they are not in other people's genius zones and you have your expectations of yourself on them, you're going to end up disappointed, and you might end up saying, I never would have understood that. I'm always surprised when somebody does this. So imagine you getting a $45 pay raise overnight. Back when I was a foreman for the weatherization company I worked for, I got a buddy of mine a job, and he probably went from making $20 an hour to $65 or $70 an hour overnight. By the time he came on, first job he was on, he made that kind of money. And I remember telling him, I said, look, it's a pretty easy job, all things considered. They're very patient. They're going to teach you everything you need to know. You're going to be surrounded by cool people. Just show up, work hard, and one of the stipulations is you can't smoke. No smoking anytime you're anywhere near the hotel we're staying at, on the job. You can't do that. That's like grounds for termination. They will let you go if that happens. And I think this person lasted like a month, and they ended up getting fired. And I didn't understand. It didn't make sense to me because I was like, you just got a job making life-changing money. Life-changing money. If you just hung on here for a year, you could have paid off all your debt. Who knows what would have been possible for you? And this person ended up losing that opportunity. And I think about it. I remember, Alan, I trained 3 or 4 different people. So they would come on. They would start working with me. I would take them through different situations and different things that we did and say, okay, this is what you do here. This is what you do here. And all of the people I trained, it was mind blowing. It didn't make any sense to me how they went from making usually very little money to making $50, $60, $70, $80, $90 an hour. And they were always like, what time are we leaving? What time are we done? Do we have to do this? Can we take a break? I always remember thinking, you don't understand how good of an opportunity this is. You have no idea. So my blind spot, my belief that I just don't understand about people, and it's always confused me, is many people just aren't hard workers. They're not a hard worker at heart, and it doesn't really matter the circumstances. You can change the circumstances, it doesn't change the behavior of certain people. I remember, Alan, so 2 stories, quick. When I got that job, so for those of you who are new and don't know much about that job, I was in weatherization. We went into schools, banks, fire stations, police stations, state or government buildings, and we made them more energy efficient. That was my job. I met my boss one time. I interviewed, and he said, you're a great fit. You got a good personality. You're going to fit really well with this team. Awesome. Love it. I'll call you when we're ready, and we're packing up for the next job. Called me a couple of weeks later. And I met my boss for the second time at this office. I got into the car with him, and we drove 8 hours from Massachusetts to Delaware. I lived in a house with 7 other people I had never met. And then I proceeded to learn a job that I had never done and I had no clue what I was doing. And that was how I started that job. But I grinded my face off. When I went down to Delaware, I literally could not afford food. All I got was deli meat, bread, chips, and water. And that's all I could afford for the first week I was down there because I didn't have any money. But I remember getting that first paycheck. I was like, oh my goodness, I am not going to screw this up. You know, I made $50 an hour on the first job. I don't remember what my paycheck was, but it was probably $1,400 or something after taxes. And I was like, what? This is possible?
More than twice what you'd ever made, right?
Oh, wait, no. The most I had ever made before that, I think, was $14 an hour.
Kev, I just realized on this episode live that the blind spot is twofold. It's not just you have great work ethic. You have great work ethic when it's connected to money.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that there's two blind spots here. You do have great work ethic. But I remember when you and I first started working together, I do believe that you believed we'd be extremely financially successful.
I was hoping.
Yeah, and you were right. Eventually is the key word. But Kev, there's something here too. The way in which you value money. You value money. I would say that, aren't you surprised when other people don't value money as much as you?
Blows my mind, yeah.
Blows your mind. Okay. Because you grew up in an environment that didn't have as much money.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's a fascinating thing. The work ethic thing always has been weird for me. Like, wait, why aren't you taking your work seriously? I've always taken, whatever I do, I take it very seriously. I'm a fairly intense dude. And I don't care if I'm playing basketball or badminton. I'm going to give it all I've got. I always do that. And so maybe that's the mastery driven part of me. That not everybody has. But Kev, I just made that connection. I think it more has to do with like, why aren't they valuing this job? Because you're presupposing they value money the way that you value money. And I think the way you value money is actually valid, especially for some of these individuals that you've described to me.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the other opportunities.
Life-changing money. Life-changing. I mean, I made $100,000 as a foreman. There's no reason you couldn't make 75 as somebody brand new. No reason. So it always blew my mind. I remember work was slow one year, like really bad, where it was 3-4 week stretches where we weren't working, and I needed to look for another job. And I got this job. I've never told this story, and I've never mentioned this as one of the jobs I had. I lived like an hour and a half outside of Boston, and I got a job in demo, and it was like Craigslist or whatever. And I said, "What? I'll give this a try. It is what it is." I do a full day of demo, and it was terrible. It was like so bad, brutal. And we get to the end of the day, and the guy was like, "Hey, man, you're really going to do great here. What do you think? You really want to like work here, be in the ground floor of this?" And I said, "Dude, I can't do this for $12 an hour, man. I can't do this for $12 an hour. I was making like $75 an hour last week, or my last job. I can't do this." He's like, "What if we bump you up to 14?" And I said, "I can't do this, man. I'm sorry. Like, I know I'm a hard worker, and I know it looks like I really want to be here, but I can't." I remember I called my boss on the ride home, and I said, "Hey, Ed," my boss's name was Ed. I said, "Ed, I'll wait until the next job. Just let me know when it comes up. I'm not leaving this job. The money's too good. The money's too good. I can't leave." So, yeah, to Alan's point, that has always been a surprise for me. If money didn't motivate people to do better, that's always been a surprise for me because, I went from $14 an hour. Yeah, $14 an hour, $15 an hour before that to 50, 60, 70. The most I think I ever made was 105 or something. But yeah, that's always been a surprise for me. And the reason we're doing this is so think about any time you've ever had something go through your brain where you thought to yourself, "I just don't get it. I don't understand why this person is doing what they're doing." That's probably a blind spot. And maybe it's something that it's really normalized for you. You're really good at. It's second nature. For me, when I'm doing something and I'm getting paid more to do it, I tend to do the job better. That just is or I take it more seriously. There's more necessity for me not to screw up. And that's why I was the way I was at my job. So really think about that. Think about when you have those moments where you say, "I am so surprised by that. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if I'll get that." Maybe that's you recognizing something you're really good at in somebody else and they don't recognize it, they don't understand it, and that's why it's a potential blind spot for you.
Hey, I wanted to give my experience working with Kevin and the rest of the Next Level University team. It has been such a seamless relationship. He is so easy to work with, Kevin, and he gives you all the information you need, but doesn't overwhelm you. He's also meets you where you're at. So whatever you want to do, he'll make it work. And it's just, there's no stress, there's no drama. And everybody else that I've worked with has been patient with me because I am not technologically savvy. So they've been helpful and patient and just encouraging. And it's just been a fantastic experience. I highly, highly recommend working with them.
So one of the things that Kevin and I want to articulate on this episode is to help all of our listeners understand that your biggest strength comes with a big weakness. So you can think about that scenario where Kevin was always shocked at how not seriously these other people would take that job when this is like life-changing money. Kev, you're now the CFO because I started to learn how much you value and cherish how much you can do with a dollar. Yeah. And I don't mean that from a negative perspective. I mean it from the perspective, and I think about this all the time, by the way. I think about how nice it is to have someone in my corner who's handling our finances who values it so much. Like imagine if we had someone as CFO who was like, I don't really care about money. Mm. It's like we would be screwed as a business. Oh, I just don't know where it all went. You don't know where it all went? Like, you know what I mean? And so I feel very, very trusting of you in that seat because the way in which you value money comes with this massive strength, but it also comes with a kryptonite. And the kryptonite that comes with it is when you don't have money, you'll do anything for it. And you're very scarce. And so every single one of us has strengths and weaknesses, and there's so much to learn from others when we look and we see the mirror reflected back of like, oh, okay, so that kind of frustrates me and that confuses me and I don't get it. Oh, what does that say about me? I have a story as well. So Emilia and I went to lunch with a close friend of ours and her girlfriend, and I always find a way to talk about goals and dreams. It's just, I don't know how not to do it. It can probably be quite annoying, honestly, for people who do just want to hang out. And so at lunch, of course, I'm talking about career. I love career development. So if you ever were to sit down with me, we're going to end up talking about your future and how to make it brighter one way or another. I'm going to lead the conversation there probably. And yes, your future will be brighter, but I'll be a pain in the butt. So this person, I started asking about her career. She worked as a biochemist, and she worked in a biology lab, and they did research. And I was just like picking her brain. Like, I want to know everything about what you do and how you do it, and what can I learn about cells, and what can I learn about vaccines, and how does it all work? And that's just the way I am, especially at lunch, right? And I remember asking her, like, okay, well, cool. Like, that's awesome. Like, what's next for you? And she was like, no, like, I'm good. Like, I love my job. I'm good. And it like didn't click for me. I was like, well, what's like the next? And again, we're at Next Level University right now, right? So obviously like next for me is important. And she was like, no, like I'm good. Like I really just, doing my thing. And I remember thinking like, so you don't have like a career that you're planning on? Like this is it? Like you're going to do this forever? And again, I don't want to say that negatively, but I gotta admit the truth here vulnerably. I was a little bit like, what? So you're just like done with your career growth? You're going to just make this much money forever? You're going to just stay in this spot forever? For me, mastery and growth and impact and maximizing your potential and contributing at a greater level and, giving it all you've got, like becoming all you can, give more, have more, become more, live more, expand. I never really understood what it's like to just kind of just be at a given level and just be okay with staying there. I've never been comfortable being comfortable. And I think that's a huge blind spot for me. And I've actually started to lean into, and you've probably noticed it if you're a listener to the show, not everybody wants to change the world. And not everybody wants to be a billionaire. I understand that. Not everybody even wants to be a millionaire. That's a little bit harder for me to fathom because millionaire is not even that much, quite frankly, just speaking directly. And I think if people understood, some people that don't even know they're millionaires actually are, if you look at net worth, but not a lot of people are taught what net worth actually is. So put it this way, if you have 2 homes that are each worth $600,000 and you don't have mortgages, you're actually a millionaire, essentially. But anyways, the point here is my blind spot and what this story tells about it, which is this other person being just done or not really striving, just having arrived, it was weird for me. And I think that what that can tell me is about myself is that growth and expansion and contribution and maximizing my potential, essentially, that is one thing I'll say, and I'll just end there. People who don't want to maximize their potential, I don't think I've ever really understood why. Because if they knew what came with that, like on the other end of your potential is all of your dreams. And it's a better world too. If everyone was trying to maximize their potential and learn more and give more and become more and contribute more, the whole world would immediately be better. Let us all sweep our own porch and the whole world will be clean, the philosopher said. And so I think that complacency, for lack of better phrasing, and I'm going to call a spade, it was complacency. And that person doesn't understand the downside. I'll keep it anonymous, but that person I don't think is fulfilled at the deepest level. I really don't. And I've heard, through the grapevine that she's very, very unfulfilled, quite frankly. And I think one of the reasons is because she's probably just not growing. Because if you don't have goals and you don't want to maximize your potential, you probably won't grow. And if you don't grow and expand, you probably won't feel fulfilled, because I think fulfillment is a byproduct of growth and contribution in alignment with our highest calling. And obviously that's my belief. That's what Next Level University is really built on, is Kevin and I believing that. And so my blind spot, though, is not everybody needs to have massive goals. Maybe they want smaller goals. But I do believe that everyone would benefit from more clear, specific, aligned goals. And I think it comes with a strength and a weakness. The strength is obviously, getting outside my comfort zone is not really a huge challenge for me. I tend to chase that and want that. But the weakness is maybe I don't feel understood, or I certainly don't understand other people at the level that I could. And I think that it all honestly stems from self-belief. I think at the deepest level, this person just doesn't believe in herself. And I think we've realized that over, almost 1,000 episodes and thousands of coaching calls and clients all over the world, is some people just really don't believe in themselves. And if they did, they would have bigger goals. And so now that we're aware of that, we can help people with it. And I think it's this weird dichotomy where I help a lot of people with self-belief, but it also comes with this massive blind spot of, I don't know really what it's like to not have big goals. I've had big goals ever since I was a kid. And that, I think, is a huge blind spot.
Yeah, we're very blessed too, because we talk about it. That's the thing, is like, I'll say something and you'll say, Kev, that's not going to land. When it's like, who cares what your family thinks? Like when I say something like that.
Oh, yeah, man.
Because
yeah, that never lands.
Because my family has always been supportive. But even, that's the thing, like my story, when I took that job, it didn't matter. Like, hey, I'm literally going to go live on the road. I'm going to live in a house with people I've never met. This could be something I don't know that it is. This could be something weird and sketchy.
And there was no like, really? What are you doing? All that?
I don't know if I cared.
Yeah, so that's another blind spot right there, which is like, that would be like very hard for someone to say, hey, I'm going to go live in a house with 7 random people in a completely different state. Like, take care. Good luck. I'll see you soon.
Like, it's so interesting, because I'll see people, and we'll hop off after this because Alan and I have to record another episode. It's 8:00. I'll see people giving advice based on social media based on ego, of like, F what people think. It doesn't matter what people think. Why do you care? You shouldn't give an F. And it's like, you don't understand 3/4 of the human species who's emotionally driven, and that's one of the main contributors to everything that they do. You don't understand. You're missing
and so even many. That's not true, because that person deep down cares too.
I know.
Yeah, it's mostly ego.
That's the thing, is like, either that's a blind spot for them, thinking, well, everybody thinks the way I do. That's what we're trying to avoid. And Alan and I are blessed because we check each other on it. It's like, Alan, I don't know if that's going to land. Kev, I don't know if that's going to land. So we're very blessed. But the question is, where do you have this experience? And how is that playing into your relationships, your job, your business, whatever it may be? How is that playing into your relationship with yourself? whatever it may be, it is affecting you in some way, shape, or form.
So the last question I had here for our listeners is, what has always surprised you about other people? Write a list out. What has always surprised you? Because there's something to learn in that. There's a lot to learn in that, quite frankly.
Next Level Nation, as you know, last month we did a giveaway where if you left us a review, you screenshotted it, you sent it to Alan or myself, email, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, whatever it is. We entered you into a drawing to win a $100 Amazon gift card. One of our amazing community members, family members, Nick, won. We're doing the same thing for May. So as of the recording of this episode, it is the 19th. Until the last day of May, we will have the same thing running. Leave us a review, screenshot it, send to us. We will enter you into the drawing, and at the end of the month, we will choose one lucky winner, a $100 Amazon gift card. We will email it directly to you, no questions asked. Having more reviews helps us help more people, and it helps bring more amazing people like you to the community. So if you could take a minute out of your time to do that, we'd be very, very grateful, and someone will win $100.
I crunched the numbers today because I wanted to look at the impact that I was having, because I was on the phone with a client earlier whose main focus also is impact. And if you include the 11 members of Group 6 in group coaching, I am officially coaching, and if you include the NLU team as well, I'm officially coaching 53 individuals. And there's nothing that I adore more in the world than helping people make their dreams come true. As long as it's integrous, as long as it's good for you, good for the world, and good for the environment, it is aligned for me to help you, especially if you're a listener of this show. So please don't feel selfish. It's a free call. I want to meet you. I want to help you in any way I can. I'm not going to sell you anything. Give it a shot. I love to meet the listeners. And if you feel selfish for that in any capacity, just it helps Kevin and I understand our listeners at a deeper level too. So I've talked to people all over the world who listen to this show, and it's one of my absolute favorite things. And then who knows, maybe you'll get a shout out on the show. You probably will, because every time I talk to a listener, I end up talking about it.
Next Level Nation tomorrow for episode number 980, the 4 characters running your life. Ooh, what a title. Ooh, such suspense. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. We are grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Please reach out.